the tale of Princess Kaguya. Long ago, when an old man went to the mountains to gather bamboo, he found a mysterious bamboo that sparkled and shone. Oh, how unusual! This is the first time I've ever seen bamboo like this. When the old man tried cutting it, he found a small girl inside. What a lovely little baby! She must surely be a gift from heaven. The old man took the child home, named her Kaguya Hime, and decided to raise her with great care along with the old woman. Kaguya Hime grew up rapidly and, in just 3 months, became an incredibly beautiful young woman. The news quickly spread, and soon 5 princes arrived, saying they wanted to marry Kaguya Hime. So, Kaguya Hime said to the 5 princes, "Please bring me the dragon's jewel. I will marry the one who can bring it to me." The 5 princes did everything they could to find the dragon's jewel, but none of them were able to find it. But the rumors about Kaguya Hime only continued to spread. Eventually, the most prestigious emperor in the land came to visit Kaguya Hime. However, the emperor was kind-hearted and would never force Kaguya Hime to marry him. After that, Kaguya Hime began exchanging letters with the emperor. One night, when the old man went to check on Kaguya Hime, he found her looking up at the moon and crying. "Grandfather, it is time for us to part. I must return to the moon tomorrow night." Kaguya Hime was not a human. She was actually one of the moon's inhabitants. But the old man didn't want to leave with the precious Kaguya Hime. So, he asked the emperor to protect her with many soldiers. On the following night, just when the surroundings suddenly became bright, visitors from the moon came to retrieve her. "Protect Kaguya Hime. Drive those visitors away." However, the emperor's soldiers were unable to shoot arrows or draw their swords. For some reason, their bodies had become immobile. Kaguya Hime said to the old man and his wife, "Grandfather, grandmother, please stay healthy forever. And give this medicine to the emperor." Kaguya Hime ascended to the moon with the visitors. The medicine she handed over was a potion of eternal life. A few days later, the old man and his wife went to the emperor to deliver the medicine. When the emperor received the medicine, he did not accept it. Instead, he instructed them to burn it at the top of the mountain. Even if we become immortal, the sorrow of losing Kaguya Hime will never disappear. What meaning could there be in such a thing? The old man and his wife felt the same way. After that, the three of them, while thinking of Kaguya Hime,
Once upon a time, long, long ago, as the grandmother was washing clothes by the river, a large, large peach came floating down. Float, float, and float. The grandmother filled with joy upon seeing it, quickly brought it home and decided to eat it together with the grandfather. But when they cut open the peach, to their surprise, a healthy little boy jumped out. This child must surely be a gift from the gods, since they did not have children. The couple named the boy Momotaro and decided to raise him with great care. Momotaro grew up healthy and strong, and eventually became a strong young man. And one day, he said to his grandfather and grandmother, I'm going to defeat the ogres who are causing trouble for everyone. I'm going to Onigashima. The grandfather and grandmother were surprised. But they decided to prepare Kibidango and send him off. Momotaro, heading towards Onigashima where the ogres were, was interrupted by a dog along the way. Momotaro, where are you going? I'm going to Onigashima to defeat the evil ogres. Then I'll help you. In exchange, please give me one Kibidango. Soon after, a monkey and a pheasant also arrived. Momotaro, please give us Kibidango as well. We will also help you in defeating the ogres. When Momotaro arrived at Onigashima, he was accompanied by the dog, the monkey, and the pheasant. All right, everyone, let's defeat the wicked ogres. The dog bit, the monkey scratched, the pheasant pecked, and Momotaro fought with all his might. Surrender! Surrender! We won't do any more bad things. We'll give you treasures, so please forgive us. Momotaro defeated the ogres. When he returned home, the grandfather and grandmother were overjoyed to see Momotaro safe and sound. The dog, the monkey, and the pheasant were with him too. Thus, Momotaro, along with the grandfather, the grandmother, and the three animal friends lived happily ever after.
Urashima Taro. Once upon a time, there was a turtle by the seaside who was being bullied by the children's. Passing by there, Urashima Taro rescued the turtle from the children's bullying. In gratitude, the turtle carried Urashima Taro on its back. And took him to Dragon Palace, which lies deep beneath the sea. Urashima Taro, having arrived at the Dragon Palace, spent an enjoyable time with Princess Otoheim. He had such an enjoyable time that he lost track of time, but suddenly, Urashima Taro told Princess Otoheim that he wanted to go home. Princess Otoheim gave Urashima Taro a jewel box and said, "Do not open this box under any circumstances until you return home." Urashima Taro, who returned home riding on the turtle once again, noticed that his house was gone. Furthermore, the surroundings were significantly different from before he left. And when he asked people, he found out that he had spent several decades in Dragon Palace. Bewildered, Urashima Taro recalled the jewel box and decided to open it. As he did, smoke silently emerged from the box and enveloped Urashima Taro. Before long, the smoke cleared, revealing that Urashima Taro's hair had turned completely white, and he had become an old man.
Once upon a time, in a certain place, an old man and an old woman lived. One day, while the two were eating, a hungry puppy came wobbling towards them. "Oh, you poor thing. Come inside." And so, they named the puppy Shiro and decided to raise it with great care. One year later, one day, Shiro, who had followed the old man to his field work, started scratching the ground with his paws and barking. "Shiro, why are you barking so much? Are you perhaps telling me to dig here?" When the old man tried digging there out of curiosity, he found a pot buried with gold coins inside.
Oh, Shiro, you're such a clever dog. But there was someone watching this scene from the shadows nearby. It was the greedy old man who lived next door. That night, the greedy old man sneakily took Shiro away and shouted loudly, "Hey, you dog, tell me where the treasure is." But Shiro wouldn't listen to him. The angry, greedy old man tried to hit Shiro with the hoe he had brought. At that moment, the old man who had noticed ran over. He gave all the gold coins to the greedy old man and asked for forgiveness for his beloved Shiro. The next day, when the old man went to the mountain with Shiro, Shiro started barking towards a lone tree. "Shiro, why are you barking so much? Is there something at that tree?" Listening to the clever Shiro, the old man decided to make a mortar out of that tree. When they tried pounding rice cakes in the completed mortar, the rice cakes turned into gold coins. "Shiro, indeed you are clever." But even that was observed by the greedy old man. Early the next morning, when the old man and the old woman woke up, they found the mortar had been burned and turned to ash. The greedy old man, frustrated, had burned the mortar. Then Shiro came outside and barked towards a dead tree near the house. "Shiro, are you telling me to scatter this ash from above?" Miraculously, the old man understood what Shiro was saying. The old man climbed up the dead tree and scattered the ash as Shiro had suggested. When the old man scattered the ash, flowers bloomed on the dead tree. They were incredibly beautiful flowers. At that moment, the lord of the castle passed by and said to the old man, "This is magnificent. I shall give you a reward." Then the greedy old man, who had been watching the situation, jumped out and said, "I was the one who burned the mortar, so the reward should be mine." At this, the Lord became angry. Burning someone else's belongings is wrong. Thus, the greedy old man was caught. And from then on, the old man and the old woman lived happily ever after.
Once upon a time, there was an old man and an old woman. They had no children, so one day they prayed to God. God, please give us a child. Any child would do, we beg you. Then God granted their prayer and gave them a child. It was a tiny little boy the size of a thumb. The old man and woman named the boy Isunboshi and raised him with great care. But no matter how many years passed, Isunboshi remained small. One day, Isunboshi said, "I want to become a warrior who protects everyone, so I'm going to the city." The old man and woman tried to stop him, but Isunboshi didn't listen. He carried a needle as a weapon instead of a sword, ride in a bowl instead of a boat, and floated on the river toward the city. When Isunboshi arrived in the city, he knocked on the door of a temple and said, "Tuk tuk. Is anyone still there?" But Isunboshi's small voice could not be heard. Then a voice came from within. It was the voice of the princess who was abused by the giants. Isunboshi immediately pulled out his weapon and went inside through a small gap. "Stop it, or I will kill you," Isunboshi said. Then the giant raised Isunboshi, and it laughed. "Ha ha ha, little people like you, what can we do?" And the giant swallowed Isunboshi into its stomach. But a little later the giant began to have abdominal pain. Isunboshi is in the belly of a giant. The Isunboshi had been piercing the inside of his stomach with needles. "Ouch, ouch, ouch. Stop it." Screaming giant. Finally, the giant could not bear the pain and let Isunboshi come out. Then the giant cried and left the city. The giant dropped the Uchide no Kozik there. As a token of gratitude, the princess took the Uchide no Kozik and used art on Isunboshi. Isunboshi suddenly transformed into a normal person. Then Isunboshi and the princess got married. And Isunboshi brought an old man and an old woman, who were parents, to live in the palace together. And they lived happily ever after.
Chit Chit Mountain. Once upon a time, an old man and an old woman were completely perplexed by a mischievous raccoon from the neighboring mountains. The fields were trampled and the sweet potatoes were stolen. On top of that, today the raccoon even hit the old woman on the head with a stick. Then a rabbit came and said, "Both of you, feel at ease. I'll discipline that naughty raccoon, so don't worry." The next day, the rabbit invited the raccoon to a branch collecting contest. "Hey, raccoon! Let's have a contest to see who can collect the most branches today." The raccoon, determined not to lose to the rabbit, hurriedly picked up branches and piled them on his back. Then the rabbit went around behind the raccoon and started making a clacking sound with some stones. "Hey, rabbit, do you hear something like click, click?" "Oh, Mr. Raccoon, don't you know? This mountain is called Click Click Mountain." Before long, a fire started on the branches. And on the raccoon's back, it went crackle, crackle, crackle. "It's hot! It's hot! Fire, fire! Help me!" Realizing it was on fire, the raccoon panicked and ended up with severe burns on its back. One day, the rabbit invited the raccoon to go fishing. At the spring, there were 2 boats. One boat was a small, shabby wooden boat. The other was a large, beautiful boat. "Hey, rabbit, use that shabby boat. I'll use this beautiful boat." The raccoon boasted and said this, then started rowing away in the large, beautiful boat. However, it was a fake boat made of hardened mud that the rabbit had prepared. Before long, the mud dissolved in the water, and the raccoon began to sink deeper and deeper. "Wow! It's water! It's water!" "Hey, rabbit, please hurry and save me." The raccoon, who couldn't swim, was in a panic. At that moment, the rabbit called out from atop the wooden boat, Will you apologize to the old man and old woman? If not, I won't help you. After that, the raccoon was helped by the rabbit and went to apologize to the old man and old woman. I'm sorry, old man, old woman. I'll help with the field work as an apology. Is that so? More importantly, you have severe sunburn on your back. Let me take a look and come here. The old man and old woman applied medicine to the raccoon's back. From then on, the raccoon stopped causing trouble and lived happily with everyone.
One day, a turnip grew in the old man's field. But for some reason, no matter how much the old man pulled, he couldn't pull it out. Grandma, could you help me pull it out? Yes, of course. The old man pulls the turnip. The old woman grabs the old man's waist. Heave ho, heave ho, heave ho! But the turnip doesn't move an inch. Then the granddaughter came along and said, Grandpa, Grandma, I'll help too. The old man pulls the turnip. The old woman grabs the old man's waist. The granddaughter grabs the old woman's belt. Heave ho, heave ho, heave ho! But the turnip doesn't move an inch. Then a dog came along. The dog had been watching the three people from the doghouse. Grandpa, Grandma, Miss, I'll help pull the turnip too. The old man pulls the turnip. The old woman grabs the old man's waist. The granddaughter grabs the old woman's belt. The dog grabs the hem of the granddaughter's skirt. Heave ho, heave ho, heave ho! But the turnip doesn't move an inch. Then a cat came along. The cat had been watching everyone from the window. Grandpa, Grandma, Miss, a dog. Let me help pull the turnip too. The old man pulls the turnip. The old woman grabs the old man's waist. The granddaughter grabs the old woman's belt. The dog grabs the hem of the granddaughter's skirt. The cat grabs the dog's tail. Heave ho, heave ho, heave ho. But the turnip doesn't move an inch. The mouse, who usually hides in fear of the cat, couldn't bear to see that situation and came out. Grandpa, Grandma, Miss, a dog, and also the cat. I'll help pull the turnip too. The old man pulls the turnip. The old woman grabs the old man's waist. The granddaughter grabs the old woman's belt. The dog grabs the hem of the granddaughter's skirt. The cat grabs the dog's tail. The mouse grabs the end of the cat's tail. Heave ho, heave ho, heave ho. Heave ho, heave ho, heave ho. Pull together. Shake, 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 pop. Finally, the turnip came out. It was an incredibly, unbelievably large turnip that surprised everyone.
The old man with a lump. Once upon a time, in a certain place, there was an old man with a large bump on his cheek. However, he was a very kind old man who always danced and made everyone happy. The mean old man who lived next door always laughed at the kind old man. "Huh? Even though you've got a bigger bump than me, you sure are relaxed." The eccentric old man also had a bump on his cheek, but it was small and less prominent compared to the kind old man's noticeable one. One day, while a kind old man was working in the mountains, dark clouds suddenly appeared and it became very dark. At that moment, terrifying ogres came and started a feast in a circle. This is bad. If they find me, I'll be eaten. The old man quickly hid behind a tree and decided to wait patiently until the feast was over. However, the demons at the party didn't seem to be having much fun. Having had so many parties before, the demons were completely bored. The kind old man felt sorry for the demons. So, he jumped out from behind a tree and said to the demons while dancing, "Hey, hey, demons! Watch my dance!" Seeing the old man's dance, the demons laughed so hard they clutched their bellies. Thus, the party became a huge success. After the party, the leader of the demons said, "Bravo to the human old man! As a reward, I will remove that big bump of yours." When the demon grabbed and pulled on the old man's bump, it came off easily without causing any pain. When the old man returned to the village, the villagers asked, "What happened to the bump on your cheek?" The old man replied, "In the mountains, the ogres were having a party. When I showed them my dance, they gave me a reward as a thank you." Then, the cranky old man, fuming with anger, said, "What's this, old man? It's unfair that only you benefit." After finding out from the old man where the party was held, the cranky old man set out for the mountains that night. Eventually, the ogre's party began, and the cantankerous old man jumped in and said, "Hey, hey, ogres! Watch my dance!" The cantankerous old man started dancing in front of the ogres, but it wasn't enjoyable at all. "Who are you? I'll do it like this." The ogre chief took out the bump he had taken from a kind old man yesterday and threw it at the cantankerous old man. As a result, the bump stuck, and the cantankerous old man ended up with 2 bumps on his head. The rolling rice ball. One day, as the old woodcutter was eating his favorite rice ball for lunch, he accidentally dropped one. The rice ball tumbled down the slope, rolling and rolling. Oh no, this is bad. The old man hurriedly followed it. The rice ball tumbled down the slope, rolling and rolling. Eventually, it hit a tree stump, bounced up, and fell into a nearby hole. Oh dear, I can't stop my legs. The old man also bumped into the tree stump, bounced up, and ended up falling into the hole. The rice ball and the old man rolled and rolled. Then, it turned out the bottom of the hole was a country of mice. And the mice asked the old man for a favor. "Old man, please give us that rice ball. We are very hungry." "Of course, here you go. There are more, so please eat up." The kind-hearted old man gave all the rice balls he had to the mice. As a token of gratitude, the mice gave the old man a small box. And he returned home. When he opened the box with his wife, they found it filled with many treasures. "It was good that you did a kind thing." However, someone was secretly watching them. It was the greedy old man who lived next door. "I see, so I should give rice balls to those mice." The greedy old man entered the hole with many rice balls. "Hey mice, I've brought rice balls for you. Now hand over all the treasures, every last one." But the mice didn't comply. They were already full, their bellies having been filled long ago. "Enough! Hand over the treasures now. If you refuse, I'll bring a cat here." It happened in an instant. The mice started digging and escaped. "It's a cat! A cat! The cat is coming!" Before he knew it, the mice were gone. And the area around the greedy old man was full of holes. He no longer knew the way back home. Thus, the greedy old man ended up crying loudly at that spot.
One day, the father mouse said to his daughter, whom he had raised with great care, "Daughter, you are now grown up. It's time for you to find a suitor. I will go find the strongest person in the world for you. Please wait here." The father mouse said this, and then left with the mother mouse. The daughter mouse watched them leave with a worried expression. Although she had feelings for a childhood friend who lived next door, she was unable to express her feelings in the end. The first place the mouse couple visited was the sun, which illuminates the sky. When it comes to the strongest person in the world, it is the sun. Without the sun, morning would never arrive. Son, would you consider marrying our daughter? When the father mouse made the request, the son said, "The strongest being in the world is not me. I cannot match the clouds that cover the sky. Indeed, clouds do block the sun's light." The father mouse accepted this and decided to go to the clouds next. Clouds, would you consider marrying our daughter? Then the cloud said, "The strongest being in the world is not me. I cannot withstand the wind, no matter what. Indeed, the wind can easily blow away the clouds." The father mouse accepted this and decided to go to the wind next. Wind, would you consider marrying our daughter? Then the wind said, "The strongest being in the world is not me. Look at that wall over there. No matter how much I blow, it doesn't even move a bit. Indeed, The wall does not move even when the wind blows. The father mouse accepted this and decided to go to the wall next. Wall, would you consider marrying our daughter? Then the wall said, the strongest being in the world is not me. The truly strong ones are you mice. When you gnaw at me, you quickly make holes. Indeed, making a hole in the wall is a trivial matter for mice. Then the mother mouse said to the father mouse, darling, in that case, let's make the mouse from this house our daughter's suitor. In the end, the mouse couple visited none other than the house next door. Thus, the mouse daughter was able to marry her beloved childhood friend safely. And they lived happily ever after.